Hi, Lori here with the third P from our 4 Ps, and this one's on place. So here we go. And we're going to talk about, first of all, about marketing intermediaries and why they exist. And it's because they help with transport, storing, selling, advertising, and building relationships. And I've started building relationships because I think that's the most important one. And the reason many people use intermediaries is because they don't want this, which is kind of messy. They would prefer this, which is nice and tidy. The idea is that here we have 15 different connections and 8 people that need to get to know each other. Here we have, we're going to pretend it's one person here who knows these 3 people and these 5 people, and makes it so much easier and so much more efficient and effective to work together. So why do intermediaries exist? Well, you can eliminate them, but not what they do, not their activities. So you don't really save that much from that standpoint. They are faster and cheaper to have them do it many times. And yes, you add cost, but you add even more value, so you end up in a net positive position. Our next slide is about these 6 utilities. Oops, sorry. This is 6 utilities created by intermediaries. At first I thought there were 5, but indeed there are 6. The first one is form, and that's so that you can get it your way. Time, which is get it when you want it. Place, get it where you want it. Possession, helping you own it. Information, giving you key information brought to you by the information intermediaries like newspapers, librarians, consumer products, magazines, and reviewers, that sort of thing. And then finally, service, which is help when and where you need it. So that's your helplines on the internet, or your helpful people in the store, or your Apple geniuses. For the first one, let's see, possession, that's the only one that's not clear, and that's helping you own it. That would be banks, who give you mortgages, and real estate agents who help you with getting mortgages and help you buy a house. Okay? What's utility? Good question. And that's the ability to satisfy a want. So these are all designed to satisfy a want. Good enough. Now we're going to talk about wholesale versus retail. We've already been down this road. You guys know B2B, that's wholesale, and B2C is called retail. So B2B, there are types of wholesalers that work on a profit, and they are merchant wholesalers, and the wholesaler owns the goods and then sells them to the retailer. Rack jobbers, the wholesaler actually owns the goods and puts them in stores to be sold. So you've seen those in maybe a grocery store or the Redbox videos, those kiosks. Those would be the equivalent of rack jobbers. Rack jobbers actually fill the racks in the store for you. Cash and carry, that's the retailer goes to the wholesaler's location and buys the goods to sell. And drop shippers are retailers who get the order and then ask the manufacturer to ship it directly. Next category is agents and brokers, and this is my favorite because this is what I do. Hoping you can see that clearly enough. And we work on commission. We don't have inventory, we don't have credit, and we don't have risk. We don't have to offer credit, and we don't have risk. It's an awesome job. You want to be in this position if you can at all possibly. Manufacturers, agents, or reps, they represent multiple companies, and a sales agent represents a single company. Next, we're going to go through B2C, retail intermediaries, and these are pretty easy. I know you guys know what a department store is. That would be like Macy's. A discount store is like a Target store or Walmart. A supermarket, that's Tops or Wegmans. A warehouse club, you're thinking Sam's, Costco, BJ's. Convenience store, 7-Eleven or Wilson Farms. Category killer, I love that name. And that would be a Staples or an Office Max. Well, I think Office Max is now at Office Depot, but whatever, Office whomever. Outlet stores, we have those up in Niagara Falls. And specialty stores, and those are stores that sell specific items, usually one of a kind, and they have pretty substantial margins. So now we're going to go through retail distribution strategies. There's intensive, and that's used by gum and Coke. Everywhere you go, you can buy gum and you can buy Coke. Selective, which means you can buy it in only a few stores, and I think North Face and Patagonia are a good example of that. You can buy both of those products in Buffalo, but you can't buy it in every store. You can only buy it in just a few. And then exclusive would be something like Orbis, where they sell only in their own stores. Okay, let's talk about retailing without bricks and mortar. Here we go. E-tailing, that's pretty straightforward. That's internet retailing. Telemarketing, that's where people get on the phone and actually try to get other people to buy. That's gone down a little bit since the advent of the internet. Before, you used to get phone calls asking you if you'd like to buy windows or aluminum siding and that sort of thing, and that's kind of gone away. Partially also because of cell phones, is my guess. Vending machines, carts, or kiosks, you see those up in the Galleria Mall or in the malls at home for sure. And actually, sometimes Starbucks will be in a vending cart. So they'll have a little kiosk there instead of having an entire store, and they have that at the Galleria Mall. Direct selling, that's where you go directly to the customer, and and then we have marketing. Multi-level marketing. Think Amway or Avon Cosmetics, and then direct marketing. That's using catalogs and company websites. So we'll probably do something with that in class tomorrow. Distribution channels. All right. The corporate distribution channel means everything's owned right from the beginning to the end. The contractual is, no kidding, based on contracts. And we've talked about franchise contracts before, but you can also get wholesaler-sponsored contractual arrangements, and that would be a wholesaler that goes out and signs up retailers to use them. And then you can get retailers who get together and create a cooperative so that they buy centrally and distribute among their stores. Each of the stores is independently owned and operated, but the cooperative might be jointly owned and operated. Administered ones, that's where the manufacturer handles it all, including in-store. And the example they give in the book is Kraft. Campbell Soup does the same thing. Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay might actually be a rack jobber, and so the question for the content quiz is, can you go on the internet and figure out whether Frito-Lay and Tostitos are administered or whether they are rack jobbers? And that'll be on the quiz. Supply chains, that software that takes you from beginning to end. One system does it all. It's called Supply Chain Management Software, and it's offered by SAP and Oracle. And if you're interested in this at all, what you want to do is over your years in college, become certified in SAP or in Oracle, and that will dramatically improve your chances of getting a job coming out. There are a lot of jobs in logistics. We're going to talk about that right now on our last slide. Here we are, logistics. And that is the planning, implementing, and controlling of the flow of goods and services. You can do inbound, which means bringing the raw materials in to be manufactured. You can do materials handling, which is moving things around within the factory or within the company. You can do outbound, which is shipping it back out to retailers or intermediaries or directly to customers if you're LL Bean. You can do reverse, and that's where you're receiving returns or faulty goods. So if you've ever returned anything to Zappos or to LL Bean or to, I don't know, Patagonia, they've done reverse logistics to take back that product. Third-party logistics, that's companies that do logistics for other companies, and believe it or not, FedEx does that, UPS, I believe, does it. It's quite a good business. Modes of transportation we have to talk about. Well, I wanted to draw a train and then a truck and then a ship and then a pipeline. That was going to be the easy one for me to draw, and then an airplane. But I want to go eat dinner, so I'm going to skip drawing, and maybe I'll draw them for you tomorrow in class. If you use more than one of these, then it's called intermodal transportation. Woohoo. Finally, warehouses. We can use them for storage, that's longer term, or we can use them for distribution, which means products come in on one truck and get shuffled around and then go back out on another truck, and that's more short term. And then finally, question about where's my stuff? Well, they can track it using barcodes, UPC, RFIDs, and wireless. And that's it for the chapter. See you tomorrow.